In August 2024, the world watched as Ukrainian forces made a daring move. They crossed the border into Russia's Kursk Oblast. This was a significant escalation of the conflict. It was a calculated risk by Ukraine. Kiev sought to relieve pressure on the Eastern Front. They aimed to force Moscow to divert troops and resources. This audacious move had strategic implications. It signaled Ukraine's resolve and its ability to take the fight to Russian soil. The incursion was not a full-scale assault. It involved small, highly mobile units. These were primarily special operations forces. They infiltrated Russian lines. Their mission was to disrupt, disorient, and degrade Russian defenses. They targeted command posts, logistics hubs, and ammunition depots. This approach maximized their impact. It also minimized casualties. The initial phase of the incursion proved successful. Ukrainian forces quickly established a foothold in Kursk. They carved out a salient around the town of Sudzha. This area became a thorn in Russia's side. It was a constant reminder of Ukraine's ability to strike deep inside Russian territory. The incursion shook the Kremlin. It shattered the illusion of security within Russia's borders. It also exposed weaknesses in Russian defenses. This bold move forced Moscow to reevaluate its strategy. It had to contend with a new, unpredictable front. The Kremlin responded forcefully to the Ukrainian incursion. It deployed a large contingent of troops to the Kursk region. This included elite units from the airborne forces and naval infantry. The goal was clear: to crush the Ukrainian salient and restore Russian control over the border. However, the Ukrainians had dug in. They were well equipped and determined to hold their ground. The fighting became a grinding war of attrition. Adding to the complexity, Russia enlisted the help of its ally, North Korea. Pyongyang sent thousands of soldiers to bolster the Russian effort. This marked a significant development in the conflict. It was the first time a Russian leader had relied on foreign troops to fight on Russian soil since World War II. Despite the influx of Russian and North Korean forces, the Ukrainian salient held. The attackers faced fierce resistance. They also struggled with logistical challenges. The terrain in Kursk, with its dense forests and rolling hills, favored the defenders. By February 2025, the offensive had stalled. The Russian and North Korean forces had reached a culmination point. They had taken heavy losses and were in need of rest and refitting. The operational pause offered a window of opportunity for Ukraine. They recognized that the Russian and North Korean forces were vulnerable. Their morale was low, their logistics stretched thin, and their ranks depleted. Ukrainian commanders decided to seize the moment. They planned a counterattack to exploit this weakness. On February 8, 2025, Ukrainian forces launched their counteroffensive in Kursk. It targeted the southern flank of the Russian and North Korean lines. The assault caught the defenders off guard. They were still in the process of regrouping and integrating fresh troops. The Ukrainians pressed their advantage. They exploited gaps in the enemy lines. The counteroffensive employed a combined arms approach. It integrated infantry, armor, artillery, and air power. This allowed the Ukrainians to overwhelm the enemy defenses. They made significant gains. They advanced up to 3 miles along multiple axes. Ukrainian forces captured several villages including Kolmakov, Fanaseyevka, and Cherkasskaya Konopelka. The Ukrainian advance sent shockwaves through the Russian military establishment. It demonstrated that Kiev could not only defend its territory, but also conduct offensive operations deep inside Russia. The counteroffensive forced Moscow to divert even more resources to Kursk. It pulled units away from other fronts, including the critical Donbas region. This highlighted the strategic dilemma facing the Kremlin. It had to decide where to prioritize its limited resources. The Ukrainian counterattack in Kursk represents a significant development in the ongoing conflict. It underscores Ukraine's resilience and ability to adapt. The counteroffensive has injected new uncertainty into the war. It raises questions about the conflict's future trajectory. For Ukraine, it offers both opportunities and challenges. It has bolstered Ukrainian morale. It shows international support is yielding results. Sustaining the offensive requires continued effort. Ukraine needs ongoing military and economic assistance. For Russia, the situation in Kursk is increasingly precarious. The counteroffensive has exposed weaknesses in its military planning. It also highlights the limitations of its alliance with North Korea. The Kremlin faces a difficult choice: commit more resources to Kursk or risk further setbacks. The counteroffensive has reignited discussions about a potential negotiated settlement. Ukraine views its gains in Kursk as leverage in peace talks. Significant obstacles to a negotiated solution remain. Both sides have fundamental differences, including the status of Crimea and the Donbas region. The road ahead remains uncertain. The counterattack in Kursk has shifted the conflict's dynamics. It has created new possibilities and difficult choices. The coming weeks will be critical in determining the war's future.